Have you ever had a client tell you that they can't pay you even though they agreed to the rate that they gave you? Yeah, that happened to me as well. And so today I have someone who is amazing at helping you to be able to get paid your full worth, or I shouldn't even say your worth, but really helping you to get paid the rate that you actually want upfront without having to really focusing on payment plans. Today we have Loren Fogelman with us, and she will share with us exactly how you can do that. So this is the Wisdom to Wealth podcast, where I get to interview the wealthiest entrepreneurs and business owners in the world. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am your host, Shamar Star Cox, TV producer and marketing coach. My goal is to help 6 and 7 figure business owners create binge-worthy content that attracts and converts their followers into customers. I am also the founder of the Convert Content to Cash Challenge. So if you're a business owner, a service provider, or a coach, you want to learn how to create content that sells in 5 days or less, feel free to DM the word challenge accepted on Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok, and I will send you a personal invite to the challenge. Loren is the founder of Business Success Solution, has been recognized by HubSpot in its annual list of the world's top 22 business coaches. She coaches service-based entrepreneurs to shift away from the dollar per hour business model to one that reduces workload while doubling their revenue. She's also the author of 2 Amazon best-selling books, The Winning Point, How to Master the Mindset of Champions, and The Success Solution, Breakthrough Limiting Beliefs for Business Success. Hey, Loren, thank you so much for joining us today.
Shamara, I am so excited to dive into our conversation today. So thank you for having me here.
Absolutely. So let's just jump right in. Take us on your journey from zero to wealth, where you started to how you got here now.
I've come from a family of entrepreneurs, so I've always seen my family, my parents work for themselves as opposed to working for somebody else. And in the beginning, with my first business that I had with my husband, I just ended up working too many hours for too little money and very, very hard. I was a top income producer. We had a staff of 11, but I burned out and I was able to shoulder that. But it was when I saw the price that my family had to pay, because I wasn't home for dinners, I was missing weekend sporting activities, that I realized that something needed to change. And that's when I decided to put what I was doing on a back burner and find my next best move.
I absolutely love that. And I love that you said that you came from a family of entrepreneurs. And so I wonder now, like with all the success that you have now, because you came from this family, do you feel like that has helped you with like overcoming limiting beliefs very easily and how you can help your clients to overcome limiting beliefs as well?
I think the main thing is that we all have limiting beliefs, including me. And actually, my background is in sports psychology. So I devoted a lot of time to working with highly motivated individuals who wanted to be at the top of their game and knew that they were getting in their own way with their mental game. And with that, it also made me aware of how I was getting in my own way. And that's when I realized if I wanted a business that supported my lifestyle instead of one that sucked the life out of me, because I already had that one, I needed to do things differently than I had. And one of the very first things I did was invest heavily in a business coach. And I did this when I was like right at the beginning of this journey and didn't even fully have a business yet. But this person had exactly what I wanted to create for myself. And because she had that success, I felt like she could help me along the way too. So being able to get out of my own way was really important. Having someone else guide me along the way was different than something else I've always done, because I've always been a doer myself. And transparency was really, really difficult because I like to look good and be that know-it-all. But I found that there's actually benefits to not knowing it all. And also sometimes letting your clients know that you don't have it all together all the time. There are tough challenges that come up, but usually they lead to something else in the long run. And there's a lot of growth that happens along the way.
Oh, I just love that. And what you're talking about, this humility and this vulnerability that you're able to share. There are some people who still struggle with this because in their mind, they think, if I don't always show up as the expert, then who am
Mhm.
I to lead? But here you are saying, like, no, it's okay to let them know I don't know. And it's okay to be in that space and to get help. So I really love that you shared that.
There's the good, the bad, and the ugly, and sometimes it's just really ugly.
Yeah, that part. And then also, how are we ever going to grow if we act like we
Mhm.
know everything? I know some people where that's how they are, but then they're never growing,
Mhm.
right? So we always want to be in a space where we're
Mhm.
constantly growing. So let's get into this. Let's get into price psychology. When you had did
Mhm.
pre-interview with me, I found it very fascinating that you were saying you help your clients get from the pay per hour business model to them actually charging the value of their offer
Mhm.
and being able to charge it up front. That part was very interesting. Walk us through how you do that.
Well, there's a series of 5 steps that I take my clients through. It's called the Raise Your Rates formula. And the very first thing is that you want to be able to have awareness of who your quality clients are, because in the beginning, you're just accepting everybody willing to pay your fees, and you end up with a range of low value to high value. And having awareness of what makes someone a quality client helps to then go right into step number 2 of being able to communicate your value. That is whether you are doing posting on social media, what you put on your website. When you're at a networking event and someone casually asks you what you do, you want to be able to have the words that grab attention of those right fit clients so that they want to know more. And step number 3 is what I call packaging of services. It's getting away from that long laundry list of a la carte services of everything that you can do and putting things together into bundles. And each bundle might meet the needs of a specific person depending on where their journey is or what it is that they want to accomplish. So the bundles are usually benefit driven and very client centered. But that's the first step to start separating your fees from time. Step number 4 is value pricing. And value pricing is different than traditional hourly or fixed fees because the traditional pricing models are based on how much time you think something's going to take, and maybe by how long, what your hourly rate is, and then you come up with your fee. With value pricing, you're actually pricing the client and what the value is to them. And then you're thinking about at the end how much time it might take, because time is more important and valuable to you than it actually is to your client. So with value pricing, you can actually earn 2 to 3 times more than traditional pricing of either an hourly rate or fixed fee. And then step number 5 is consultation mastery. This is where you're having enrolling conversations. You don't want to be salesy or pressure someone into working with you. You might not even like talking about the money part and skip over it sometimes. So we want to have what's called a value conversation where you're focusing on what's important to the client and a priority for them, as opposed to the tasks and workflows and things that you do. So those are the 5 steps of the Raise Your Rates formula, which is quality clients, quality clients, communicate your value, package your services, value pricing, and consultation mastery.
Oh, perfect. That was, you just let that roll right off your tongue. I can tell you've been teaching this for a really long time. So let me ask you this. Of the 5 steps, which one is the one that you notice your clients have the most difficulty with?
I believe it's the value pricing. It's really about getting away from something that seems very formulaic, which is their hourly rate, how much time they think something's going to take, and then going over to pricing the client, because it's more a combination of art and science. So it's not quite as clear of a formula. And sometimes they don't know what the value is from a client's point of view. Or when we come up with these numbers, they're like, how can I charge that much? My clients are all price sensitive. Nobody in my area where I live is going to pay that much. So it's really a paradigm shift of how they're looking at things. And once they're aware of that, they start to get some small micro wins. And that is evidence that the clients aren't as centered as they thought that they were, and that this is something that can go ahead and make a difference of increasing their revenue. We look at then lightening their workload and being able to go ahead and now scale their business.
Oh, so good. Now, this is one of my favorite conversations when we start talking about price psychology as well as selling, buyer psychology, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lot of times when my clients are coming to me, so I sell high ticket and I teach them how to sell high ticket. So a lot of times when they're coming to me, they are nervous to raise their price because they think, oh, people aren't going to buy. And I heard you say that too, like some of your clients are thinking people aren't going to pay for this.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is that first step that you talked about, which was quality clients. When you
Mm-hmm.
are speaking to quality clients, they're going to want to pay you for your services at the price that you were saying because you're offering them value. And so I remember when I first started out, I was actually selling low ticket. I was doing like a 2 to 3 hour teaching people how to shoot and edit videos on social media. The first hour, I teach them how to shoot it. The second hour, I would show them how to edit it. The third hour would be for VIPers. And I was only charging $27 and $47 for VIP. And I did that for 6 weeks. I probably
Mm-hmm.
had about 8 to 10 people in each session. By the end of that, I was exhausted, and we probably made $480 for 6 weeks doing that. I was exhausted. And then I said, you know what? I can't keep going this route. I pre recorded the session and I was going to sell it for $47. But one of my friends said, I took that session. You need to add a nine between the four and the seven. And my heart was like,
Mm-hmm.
you want me to charge $497 for this? But in my mind, who would
Mm-hmm.
ever pay for that? Right. And so I did it. But when I released it to the market, people were telling me that costs too much. I can't afford that. And I started feeling like, oh my goodness, I probably could have made a lot more sales by now had I left it at $47. But I left it at $497 because I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to keep going back and forth.
Yep.
And I remember one week in 3 days, I made $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
Bought that same offer on a Thursday. Another person bought it on a Sunday. And that taught me a valuable lesson about selling high ticket, which is you can make a lot of money real fast in a short amount of time, as opposed to putting out low ticket, low value, lower client effort and make a little bit of money putting in more work. And so I love
Mm-hmm.
that you're talking about this because there are some people here who are tuning in where they want to shift into high ticket or they want to shift into selling the value of their offer, but they just don't know how to because something inside of them is telling them, oh man, there's no way that people will ever pay me for that. Do you want to add to that? Do you want to share any thoughts?
Well, I think that there's something special when you have your first four-figure day, your first five-figure day, and maybe even your first six-figure day. And when you hit something like that, it is worth celebrating. Because as a business owner, there's always more that needs to be done. It's kind of like the dirty laundry. As soon as you do the laundry, somebody's throwing in the dirty socks into the hamper, and there's always more. The horizon always is that distance away. But sometimes we need to look back from where we came and celebrate the successes and the milestones that you've achieved in order to get to where you are right now. And it was about the fact that, Shamar, and I want to really encourage this. It's not having the confidence to raise your prices. I heard that loud and clear. You didn't have the confidence, but you had the courage to do something differently than you had up until now. And that is really what happens when we go through this whole journey of looking at your value, your fees, and deciding that I don't want to work with these headache, low paying clients any longer. I want to work with a higher quality clients. Is it takes courage, and the confidence comes yet later as you start to get those yeses.
100% agree with you. It takes courage. You're
Mm-hmm.
stepping outside your comfort zone. That's what makes it so
Absolutely.
beautiful. And then like you're battling, will I be rejected? And if we don't embody that, like we don't have to make it seem like, oh, they're rejecting me. It just may not be the right fit client at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because you're gonna get no's. Not everyone's going to buy. So I love sharing that with my clients. I love that this is how you're helping your clients because it's
Mm-hmm.
super powerful. And so let me ask you this question. How are you helping others achieve their own wealth or business goals, right? Like as you're helping them to raise their prices, as you're helping them to provide value to their clients, how else are you helping them to achieve this wealth in their business?
I believe that as business owners, we take more risks than someone who's an employee and working a 9 to 5 and has the security of a paycheck. and that we deserve to have a business that supports our lifestyle instead of one that drains the life out of you. Because your business will take as much out of you as you possibly can. And when I work with my clients, one of the very first things before we even get started is I want to know it's the money is important. Let's all agree on that. But it's about what the money is allowing you to do that makes it meaningful. And I want to know what's meaningful for you. For one person, it was about helping her mother pay off her mortgage as a retirement gift because she was a single mom. She worked 2 jobs and she wanted to be able to give her daughter this leg up. And so her daughter wanted to give back. That was one. Another person, it was about being able to fund their retirement in order to be able to have something in the future without having to sacrifice their lifestyle, or possibly being able to cut back on their hours without taking a hit on their revenues in order to spend more family time together because they had little ones at home. So it's about finding what makes it meaningful for you, what drives you, what that purpose is. And the purpose isn't always about everybody else. So sometimes it's about you. And when it's closer to home, it's actually more meaningful. So that's what I really enroll into, is what is the meaning and how is this going to have an impact? And I want to help you achieve that.
Oh, I just love that because it's not just about the money or the success, right? It really is about the business that you want to build where it's not taking up too much of your time, right? Like you can do what it is that you
Mm-hmm.
desire. And I think oftentimes some people may shy away from starting a business or even scaling their business because they think it's going to take so much time. They already have clients.
Mm-hmm.
And then here you come in and you show them, here's how you can build a business based on your lifestyle. What is it that you like to accomplish? So can you share us like one point on what someone can start doing today in order for them to like
Mm-hmm.
build their business in a way that doesn't negatively impact their lifestyle?
Mm-hmm. Well, we are talking all about pricing and value and getting away from this mindset that my clients can't afford to pay anymore. And part of what you mentioned earlier, Shamara, and I want to really look at is that you didn't change what you did, you changed the audience of who you served and who you attracted to you. And that I want to be able to give everybody that's joining us the first steps on how to move away from what they're currently charging in a very, very gradual way. So this is what I call the good, better, best pricing model. And what you want to do is you're going to have people come to you, come up with that original fixed fee that you would have been charging. And now I want you to multiply it by 1.5. That is your new good rate. I want you to enroll 3 people into your new good rate at 1.5 more than what you would have been charging, because it gives you evidence that people aren't quite as price sensitive as you thought they were. After you enroll those new 3 people, we go up to tier 2, which is your new better rate. You'll have people come to you, come up with that original fixed fee, now multiply it by 2x. And by doing this, you're now making double what you were making before, no additional time spent working. You're getting better at having the initial consultation and understanding what you need to focus on for them to see the value of moving forward with you. And once again, it gives you better clients than when you were charging your original fixed fee. After you have those 3 clients, we move up to the highest tier, which is your new best rate. You'll have people come to you, come up with that original fixed fee, now multiplied by 3x. You're now earning 3 times more than what you were charging before without any additional time spent working. As you're going through this, you realize that you don't need as many clients to meet your revenue needs. As a result of that, you can take back some of your time to either focus on business development and growing and scaling your own business, possibly doing more consultations and higher level services because you're getting out of some of the lower day-to-day operations, or possibly just taking back some of that time that you sacrificed before for self-care, for being able to give back to your community in some way possibly. So that's the good, better, best pricing model, to get away from your hourly rate and start to increase your fees to the value of what you deliver instead of how much time it takes to deliver it. And at some point, you're going to need to recalibrate. So you'll take that best rate, bring it to the bottom, and then you can go through this all over again.
Oh, that was so simple. Like it was amazing. It was just in steps. I know when I
Mhm.
was learning to do this too, my former coach, he would say things like, sometimes you just don't go straight to selling the high ticket. Like you got to get your reps in. And here you are
Mhm.
explaining that, like get your reps in 1.5, then times two, then times three.
Mhm.
Notice that nothing is changing in your offer, what you're offering, that's staying the same. And sometimes I meet coaches where they're like, oh, I would love to do, I would love to do, I think it's group coaching. I think right now a lot of them do one-on-one
Mhm.
coaching. They would love to do group coaching, but they feel like they would have to charge less. And I'm always like, I do group coaching and I charge $10,000 per person for group coaching. It's
Mhm.
not about charging less. Nothing changes in what it is
Right.
that you are offering. It may be the level of access that may be changing. It may also be like if it's done for you, it's always going to be higher because we're doing it for you. But for the most part, nothing's really changing, right? It's just
Mhm.
who you're talking to. Last year, I changed my audience because
Mhm.
first audience I had was great, but I
Right.
recognized they were running into a money block. And that was a spiritual money block and a physical money block. Like they were going through detrimental times in their lives, whether people were getting divorces, getting their
Mhm.
cars repossessed, they were missed payments on their mortgage. And I was like, oh, I can't talk to this audience anymore because I'm going to go out of business if I keep talking to this audience. And I shifted my audience. Now, here's the thing, and I would actually love for you to talk about this because this was like your first point about talking equality,
Mhm.
right? I shifted my audience and I recognized that when I shifted my audience and I knew this was going to happen, that there was a dip in sales. Now that was going to happen because my old messaging was no longer speaking to
Mhm.
my new audience and I had to shift my messaging and I knew it was going to take time practicing in order for it to get better. So how do you coach your clients to whenever they are shifting to that quality client now, how do they shift their messaging to speak to that client?
I think that what you're talking about is so important because it's about that step number two that I shared from the Raise Your Rates formula of communicating your value. And it's really about paying attention to what your clients are saying to you. And with the first audience that you had, they were focused on scarcity. There was a lot of survival going on, which is lower level functioning. And as a result of that, there was more price sensitivity because they were stretched so thin. What you wanted to focus on now is people that were more aspirational and wanted to be able to move forward and advance as opposed to just surviving. And because of that, people that are aspirational have different motivators than the people that are in a more base survival mode. It might be that you talk to some of your best clients and you are hearing the words that they're saying of what's important to them and starting to use those phrases in the exact same words as they're saying it. You don't need to be smart here. You don't need to be fancy or show how sophisticated. Use their exact words to avoid any miscommunication. They'll get it. You're all in the same love language. And the other part is, I believe, putting yourself around the people that you want to attract. So it might change who you're networking with, who you're associating with, who your referral partners are, or maybe teaching your referral partners that this is the quality client that you're seeking, and these other clients aren't a right fit for you any longer. So it's really about communicating, whether it is the words that you're using when you're talking with someone and to your audience, or maybe when you're with your referral partners and you're trying to explain to them who you're a right fit for. You want to be very, very clear about what you're doing and how you can help that particular type of person.
Oh, I was just clapping over here because I'm like, nailed it, like nailed it. I love the way the simplicity in the terms that you use. Like it's so good when you explain who my audience was before survival mode and
Mhm.
now moving to aspirational. And that's exactly what happened. And then you nailed it on the one thing that I learned when I shifted my audience was which was they're not struggling. They want to go to the next level. And so I
Mhm.
say that a lot in my content. If you want to get to the next level in your business, because they already have a good foundation, but they want the next step. So that was good. And then the next part that you talked, go ahead. Did you want to say something else?
I was going to say this reminds me of when I was doing sports psychology. When you're looking at athletes, there are some athletes who play to avoid losing, and there are some that play to win. You went from the camp that was avoiding losing, they didn't want to be in last place any longer, and you went to the ones that wanted to be at the top of their game and aiming for that first place spot. Even if they weren't first place yet, they were still on the road and had the dedication to want to be there.
That's it exactly. And those are people who are ambitious. And so I started
Mhm.
talking to people who are ambitious where this is where they want to be and I can help them to get there. And it became a shift for me also because when we talk about quality clients, it's not just pay as well, it's
Mhm.
energy. Like
Yep.
the first set of clients that I had, it took a lot of energy just to get them to move and to do the work. And I felt like I was pulling them. And every time I would give them the teaching, they just wouldn't come back with the results. And it was very frustrating. But when I shifted to people who are actually ambitious, they already had momentum. So it was just
Mhm.
tiny tweaks along the way so that they can actually see that major impact that they get to make. So I really love that you said that. And another thing you said that was just so, oh, I love this type. I like teaching this to my clients too, was just talk to your dream clients and use their language. You don't have to change anything. Use their language in your content, in your emails, when you're speaking, use their language because when they hear it, they're going to one feel seen and two feel heard. And so now they're
Mhm.
like, "Oh, wait, this person can help me because they know exactly what I'm going through." But in reality, you just told me. I just said it right back to you. So that
Mhm.
to me, it's like the oldest trick in the book. It is, I don't even want to call it trick. It is such a simple strategy, especially for those who
Mhm.
are like, I don't know what content to create, I don't know what emails to send. Just use the language that your dream clients are telling you, and they will come to you. Oh, so powerful, so powerful. Did you want to add anything else before I ask you two more
Yeah.
questions?
One more thing that came from listening to the overview of what you were saying was that the first audience saw your services as a cost. And that is coming more from a point of pain. The second audience, even though they were paying more, they saw you as an investment and part of having the solution that they needed in order to move forward. They had more skin in the game. And as a result of that, they were more likely to follow through with what you were teaching them and actually implement.
Oh, the language is just right there because that's exactly how I speak to them too.
Mhm.
Like that was the shift. Maybe we'll do another episode, but just language in how you speak
Mhm.
to your clients. That's what I teach. That's what I teach my clients now. That language is important because whatever you're speaking is what's going to bring in your audience. So one, I
Mhm.
was speaking a language of poverty, of scarcity, so it attracted those people. But when I shifted to abundance and ambition, then it started to attract those people.
Mhm.
So I really love that you shared that. So you have just given us a lot of gems. Please let everyone know how they can work with you. And as you're speaking, I'll go ahead and drop the links in the chat.
Mhm. There's two things. When I was talking about the good, better, best pricing, I actually have a resource that goes with that. It's called Get Paid What You're Worth. It's a free ebook, and you can get that at businesssuccesssolution.com/worth. If that is something that appeals to you, you want to dive deeper into the raise your rates formula and really understand it and unpack the whole thing. And if you would like to have a conversation with me and how you can help to be able to charge for the value of what you're doing as opposed to the time. You want to be seen as an investment, not a cost. Then I can be reached at businesssuccesssolution.com/let's talk to let me know that you want to have further conversations on how to be able to raise your game and up level to working with a higher quality client.
Awesome. Yes. So I dropped both of the links in the
Thank
chat.
you.
For those of you who want to get access, it's on Instagram, it's on LinkedIn and YouTube, but also in the show notes, once this replay is available, you'll also be able to get access to it at any time that you need to. And then one final question, Lauren, which is what is one shift or decision that you made that helped you take your business to the next level?
Mhm. The one that I made was really investing in a business coach and not being cheap of I could do it myself. I'm smart enough. I can figure it out. I saw the benefit of speed, of being able to lean on someone else and realizing that it was going to be difficult, but I wanted to put myself in, and it was a combination of mastermind, so group coaching along with personal coaching. I wanted to surround myself with others who already achieved what I aspired to want to have for myself, and that really challenged my limits on a regular basis. And I'm going to say this was back in 2009. Like I said, I didn't have a business yet. I invested $18,000 for the year with that business coach. And I'm going to let you know the first year right out of the gate with her, I brought in $75,000. So I didn't have a business when I started with her. She gave me the insight, the tools. I was on the journey. I was surrounding myself. I was constantly challenging my limits. But at the end of that 12 months, I brought in $75,000. That's a great return on an $18,000 investment. Plus the fact that I lived on the West Coast and she lived on the East Coast. I was flying back and forth in addition to the monetary business coaching that I was making, made with her. So well worth it. And it changed my entire life as a result of that.
Wait a second. It wasn't virtual?
No. This was in 2009. This was when you were still doing teleseminars. They didn't have the video capability at that point.
Oh,
In fact, that was still when they had Facebook and oh gosh, there's one other one that just went away.
MySpace? Was it MySpace?
MySpace.
Yeah,
Yes. All the Americans were on MySpace and all the Canadians were on Facebook at that point. So this was back in the day.
This is
$18,000 was a lot more in 2009 than it is now.
Yeah, it is. And that's true dedication. Man, people will pay me $10,000 and can't even show up on a Zoom call.
Yeah. So we did have group coaching calls, but it was all by telephone as opposed to video capabilities.
Amazing. And then look at that return. And you got that return because you're ambitious. So you were able to put in the work. I'm sure there were some people who invested, didn't get the return only because they didn't do the work. And so sometimes I'll come across people who will tell me, they're afraid to invest in a coach because they think it's a scam. And I'm like, I haven't experienced that. Maybe some people have, but the reality is sometimes people call things scams because they don't actually put in the work. They expect that once I put the money, I'll be able to make the money back.
I think that what happens when it's a high ticket item, and that was more than I ever invest in myself. I want to just say I had to take out a personal loan to be able to do it, but I saw the benefits and my husband believed in me. So we had a conversation about that too. But a lot of times when people decide not to do it, it's not because of the person that they are looking to engage. It's about they don't believe in themselves actually following through with what's required in order to make it happen.
100% agree with you. 100% agree with you. And that's typically what it is. It's just like, for some people, they've joined programs before and they didn't do the work. So it's like, I've done this before and I just don't believe in myself. So I really love that you said that.
And I'm going to do a lot of hand holding. Yes. Because people work at different paces and some people need more hand holding than others. And that's fine. But it's like, let's continue to move forward, even if it's small baby steps. Not everybody's going to rip the Band-Aid off right away.
Yeah. And then your resources, even this one, get paid what you're worth. You're talking about the price formula. You walked us through the price formula. And it was so simple. It was very step by step, right? So I can imagine that you just hold their hand through the process, give them the step by step, and make sure that no one gets left behind. I think that that's so powerful.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are welcome. Well, Loren, thank you so much for joining us today. This was a powerful conversation. I look forward to having many more with you as the tools that you shared. This is one of my sweet spots. I love when we're talking about pricing and psychology and mindset. Like, it's so powerful. But thank you for joining us. Thank you for all of you who tuned in on Instagram, who tuned in on YouTube and LinkedIn just to watch this podcast. Again, once this podcast ends, the replays will automatically be available and you can get access to the links that Loren has shared with us. You all have a great day. We're actually taking the week off next week. I know we just came back yesterday, but we're taking the week off next week because we have the Convert Content to Cash Challenge going, right? So if you wanted to get into the challenge, it's starting on Monday. All you you have to do is DM me the word challenge accepted so that you can join us for the VIP experience. And then the podcast will be back again on June 11th. Okay. You all have a great day.